The biggest risk in real estate that nobody talks about. I did some research so that you don't have to. And I found 6 risks that a lot of people talk about. And then I'm going to talk about the biggest risk that I really didn't find. I didn't see videos on it. I didn't see podcasts on it. And so I'm going to cover the biggest risk at the end of this video and the 5 ways that biggest risk could make you work until you die, could delay your financial freedom, could delay your early retirement, or could stop you from investing entirely. So when I was doing the research to figure out what are the most common risks in real estate, and not just all gambling, all investing is gambling, but I mean specifically related to real estate, because I invested in buy and hold real estate to reach financial freedom. Been retired for 3 years now, and now I just travel around looking for good weather, which this isn't, and good scuba, which this also isn't. Not sure why I'm here. But I also share with you how I got here. And in getting here, I actually faced some of these risks that people talked about in these other videos. So here's the 6 that people did talk about. The first one is the market. A lot of people talk about market risks. So they look at the 3 R's. You got rates, recession, and rents. The problem with this is most people are trying to make predictions. It's not that we're in a recession. It's that people think a recession is going to happen. So do you wait and take action during the recession? Do you plan to get ready for the recession? Or do you hurry to try to get things done before the recession? In my opinion, all of those are wrong. 2 things tell you when to buy. None of them are rates, recession, or rents. The second thing that is one of the bigger risks with real estate that people do talk about is the location. And it's not how you go, real estate is about location, location, location. It's about what could happen to the location your rental is in. Can the crime statistics get worse? Could the school districts improve because the taxes go up? Could jobs go away? And I mitigate this in a few ways. First, I don't trust crime data. I trust boots on the ground knowledge, the local property managers, the local law enforcement, the investors who invest in the area, or my own personal knowledge for crime rates. I used to live in a town called Ruston, just north of Tacoma, which was a great town. And now there's pretty much a murder there every day. So kind of glad I don't live there. Kind of glad I didn't invest there. The jobs thing, you mitigate this by not investing in a place where there's one local economic driver, one place for people to work. I want at least 5, right? A base, a port, college, hospital, Boeing, Amazon, large population. And I invest in a small town called McKenna, Washington, so it doesn't even have the large population. There's like 450 people living there, but it's right next to Wilcox Farms. It's less than a mile away from a Walmart. It's closest to the back gate entrance to Joint Base Lewis McChord. So there's economic drivers, even though it's in a small town. The third risk that people did talk about in videos, before I get to the one that nobody seemed to really talk about, that the one that probably was the one that shot me in the foot in the beginning, is the property. You could have mold. You could have termites. All of these things that can happen to the property. You can have faulty wiring. Those are real risks. This is why we have an inspection done when we're under contract to buy a property. And this is why we do annual inspections and we do proper maintenance. Make sure water's directed away from the building. Make sure your electric is inspected. Do the repairs that are needed before it becomes an emergency. The fourth one, my favorite of the one everybody talked about, is debt. This is the biggest risk in real estate. All debt is bad. The Dave Ramsey people that just think the bank can call the loan because Dave Ramsey used 90-day debt and they just didn't refinance him out of it. Or if you are going for commercial properties where you have a loan reevaluation period, or you have net operating income that could be bad the year you go to refinance, yeah, there's risk to debt. But 30-year fixed rate debt on a cash flowing property, keeping good reserves, in a place that has a lot of economic drivers, where you know if it's a good or a bad neighborhood, that's my best friend. That fixed rate debt is why I don't have to work anymore. I kind of wish I had more. Then, a big risk to properties that people do make lots of videos about because they're fun stories is the tenants. What if you go through an eviction? What if they trash your property? What if you have a vacancy? What if having an eviction gives you a vacancy with tenants who trashed your property? These are real risks. Screen your tenants well. Treat your tenants with respect. Happy tenants don't tend to leave. Happy tenants don't tend to trash your property. It's still going to happen. Keep good reserves. Keep your emotions out of it. Handle the problems when they come up. People that say, oh, I don't want to deal with tenants because they could be problems. But you deal with a 40 to 60-hour work week that is nothing but problems, and you're okay with that in perpetuity, not making a plan to get out of it. That's the point for investing. I want to put my money to work so I didn't have to. So I can deal with the problems with the tenant once or twice a year instead of 40 to 50 hours a week at a job that was full of problems, which is why I was there. And then the last thing that I did find a whole bunch of videos on, the problems that people do talk about, is the politics. There's a ton of videos that say you want to find a landlord-friendly state, be afraid of tenant-friendly laws, and I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I specifically, on purpose, invested in a blue state. It now has rent control, and about a month or two ago, I made a whiteboard video. Sorry for being left-handed and trying to write on a whiteboard. But I proved mathematically that rent control is going to make me $138,000 more in profit than I was going to make when there wasn't rent control. Yes, evictions can take longer, so I have bigger reserves. I plan for it. It's really hard to build in a blue state. It's really hard to get the permits. Everything takes long, so there's less competitions. People don't want to build, there's less investors. I've eliminated the biggest problem to me in real estate is that other investor, the home buyers. The limited supply increases the demand, so my rents go up, my appreciation. Washington State is the #1 appreciating state in the last couple of decades because it's a blue state, which doesn't make it good. It just makes it a good place for me to invest with my strategy. I have friends like Millennial Mike who invest out of state, and it makes sense to him. There is no one right way, but there is a one right way for you. The thing with politics is it isn't that I want a blue or a red or a Democrat or a Republican. It's that I need a plan for whoever gets in office. So here is the biggest problem, the biggest risk in real estate that no one talks about. And like I said, this is the one that shot me in the foot when I first started. Why are there not more videos about this? I don't understand. And I'm going to call you out. You are the biggest risk in real estate. And I have 5 different ways to talk about it. There are more. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just 5 ways that you become the biggest problem. The first, I talked earlier about emotions. How many people invest based on emotions? I wouldn't live there, and you pass a great deal because you're not buying it so you'll live there. You're buying it because tenants will live almost anywhere and people will rent something. And if it makes sense, why would you pass on it because you wouldn't live there? What if you look at a rental, I'm not going to name anybody by names, and you really like it? And it almost makes sense, but you fall in love with the place, even as a rental. So now you chase the price. You waive contingencies. You make mistakes based on emotions. Those are huge risks. The second thing, since you could be the biggest risk in real estate, is what if you're not good at analysis? What if you're looking at the wrong things? What if you ask questions like, oh, there's a seal. Oh, my little buddy's here again. So what if you ask questions like, how many doors do you have? Which tells you nothing. Where'd he go? Or how much do you make per door? Which doesn't tell you if it's a good yield or not, because what if you put $1 billion into an investment and you make $100 a month? Or you put nothing into an investment and make $100 a month? What if you're analyzing the wrong things? What if you don't think to even look at, is this a safe neighborhood? Because the math looked really good on a spreadsheet. Learn to analyze. One of the best ways to practice running the numbers on a property and figuring out if it's a property worth owning is asking investors that you already know if you can analyze their deals that they own. It's easiest to have somebody correct you when they know what the actual end results were. And this is a good one. I'm not sure. I think this is why engineers and sometimes law enforcement or former military do so well in real estate is we're talking about you. Do you have a lack of discipline? Lack of focus? Consistency? Michael Zuber talks about doing the work. Are you the type of person that's going to do 4 hours on a Saturday and 3 of those being wasted? Or do you have the discipline to do 30 minutes every day and not miss the deal that came out on Wednesday and was under contract by Friday? Focus and discipline It sucks. It's a decade. I want to flip the camera around. I have people dancing near me. So you can develop discipline. You can develop focus. You can develop consistency. 21 days to make or break a habit, right? Make some habits. This is a good one. What about that failure to launch people? Since I'm in a marina, failure to launch. But the failure to take action people, the people who get stuck in analysis paralysis, you get really good at looking at a spreadsheet. You become what I call a YouTube landlord. Instead of a landlord who watches YouTube, you're just somebody who watches YouTube because you think you're a landlord, don't own any properties. And I'm not talking about owning a property as being the action you have to take. Failure to launch can be, what if you're not making offers? What if you're not going to local real estate meetups and getting to know those other investors in your market who are investing successfully in your market? And the only input you have in your real world is your friends, family, and coworkers who tell you it's risky, it's a bad market, wait for the crash, all of these things that are just going to stop you from taking action. Get around the people that are doing it. Go to the one rental at a time event in February. Go to BiggerPockets in October. Get to the local meetups in your area where people are investing in your market, possibly in the asset class that you've chosen to invest in. And the last one, the fifth way that you are the biggest risk in real estate, is your mindset. In my book, I actually have a whole section on mindset shifts that I had to make in order to be able to invest and put my money to work. One of the first ones is, how many people grow up hearing that the rich people are evil? Rich people did something sleazy or unethical to become wealthy. But you work for money and you want to invest to become wealthy. If you think of rich people as unethical or bad, you're more likely to subconsciously sabotage yourself so you don't become something you don't like. The mindset of, man, I would do this, but it's so slow, and alone is so slow. I need to have partners. In my course calls, we've had several people on in the last couple of months who come on and go, hey, I grew, I scaled with partners, but man, it sucked. Best thing I'm doing now is divesting myself of those partnerships. It's slow, it's boring, it's not sexy, but save a down payment. Learn your market. Maybe house hack to make it go faster. Maybe save 20% or 25% and buy a rental. But that ability to do it by yourself where you don't need partnerships, because have you met people? And my favorite one with the mindset is, now is not the time. I've actually made this my keynote speech for BiggerPockets in October at Caesar's Palace on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. There's two things that happened in my presentation before this, but the main meat of the presentation is how it is never going to seem like a good time to buy. I will point out every year that I closed on a rental, all of the things people were screaming at the top of their lungs about why you shouldn't be buying now. And this time is different. And I know you're going, oh, it's 2025. We're facing this and this and this, and we've never seen it before, and it's never going to be a good time to buy. And in 2028, somebody bought today, and you're going to be upset, and you're going to think they're just lucky because they bought before the next thing happened. You can shift your mindset. You can educate yourself. You can mitigate the risks that you bring to the table, since you are the biggest risk in real estate. This is a nice short live I did on my phone, or I'll check out the comments afterwards. If you want your questions answered during a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do a video that lasts as long as the questions do. I hope to see you there. Have a weekend? Oh yeah, it's a farmer's market. Weekend full of amazing.